Something else that kind of hit me in the feels this week, just because it's one of those, it's another nostalgia. It's another nostalgia hit, right? So growing up, you know what I mean? I was all over the place. I was all over the place with the TV shows and the cartoons and the movies. Basically, I was a little white privileged kid, so my parents had cable. So I could switch back and forth between the Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network. And I'll be honest, I was not a Cartoon Network kid. I wasn't into Ed, Ed, and Eddie. I wasn't into anything else that was on Adult Swim, and the Chicken, and the Invader Zim, all that stuff. I was never into Cartoon Network. But what I was into were, of course, the animated Nickelodeon shows. I'm talking Hey Arnold. I'm talking Jimmy Neutron. I'm talking Angry Beavers. I'm talking Rocket Power. I'm talking all of the 90s nostalgia. SpongeBob, when it came out in 1999. I'm talking all of the nostalgic Nickelodeon animated shows. And then on the flip side of that, we had the Disney Channel. And Disney was really good at the time at giving us the children-focused kind of, reality TV show. Not reality TV. It was all scripted, of course. I'm talking about Boy Meets World.
What are we doing?
When I tell you that Boy Meets World not only guided my childhood when my father dropped the ball, which was about 98% of the time, it was something that I watched growing up. It was something that I then rewatched during my teenage years, my young adult life. I watched the whole season from 1 to I think season 8 in my 20s. I just started it again in my 30s. I mean, Boy Meets World, and especially now that I have a son, shout out to him. Today's his 6th birthday.
What are we doing?
Gotta love that. The kid's fully grown. He's having full-blown conversations with us. He talks in a manner. Listen, it's bad enough when that your child turns 6 years old and he has an attitude.
What are we doing?
The boy has an attitude, so much so that the conversations that me and my son have now, I never would have fathomed. 2-3 years ago, I would have never fathomed my son would be saying things to me like, Dad, you're a disappointment. Dad, I hate you. Daddy's not my favorite. Daddy, go away. Daddy, please give me space.
What are we doing?
Are things he says to me on a daily basis. And I'm just like, dude, this is crazy what you're saying to me right now. I can't even really comprehend the fact that it's 100% inappropriate for you to be saying these things to me. To the point where I can't react. I can't punish him because he's 6 years old and he's using his language very properly.
What are we doing?
And so that's just where we're at now. Little 6-year-old. I love him. He's my best friend on most days when he allows me to be. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? We'll do anything for the kids. So shout out to him. And when I was his age, I was watching Boy Meets World, okay? I'd fall asleep to the Titanic every night. But during the day, my parents let me watch Boy Meets World. That's how you know I grew up not only privileged until the divorce, bankruptcy, we got to get the car repoed. No one wanted to buy the house, so mom and dad struggled to get through the whole divorce financially to the point where my father was in an apartment with no furniture, one TV, a VCR, and one VHS, and that was it. He had us at the movie theaters, out of the house, Wendy's, any chance he could get because he was fucking embarrassed. And also there was nothing to do in his apartment. And then mom moved to the shitty parts of Maple Street in Manchester. And it was a bad time for everyone financially there for a little bit. But at the end of the day, okay, Boy Meets World is what got us through. Now, when I tell you that growing up, I was watching this show constantly, the other end of the stick was a few years back when they announced Girl Meets World, and Topanga was back. We got Corey, Ben Savage is back. We've got the whole gang. Sean's making guest appearances. Will as the brother making guest appearances. For all intents and purposes, Girl Meets World should have worked. And it didn't. It fell flat on its head because it was 2015, 2016, whatever year it was that they started that show, and things had changed. The set, the people around them, the motivation, the fun, everything was opposite, to the point where they were there to read lines, get the show done, and get the show out. They want it out as quickly as possible, as viral as possible. They don't care how anyone's treated on set. They don't care about the actresses, the young children on set. I mean, there are rumors of things still even happening inappropriately to those young stars as we speak on the Girl Meets World set. And so naturally, at that time in my life, I didn't really tune in. I didn't connect. I've seen the clips. I've seen the appearances. I've seen the episodes. I've seen everything that I absolutely have to know and see for the Girl Meets World, world, ecosystem, atmosphere, the Girl Meets World atmosphere, to know that, just that time wasn't for me. And so now with all of that, of course, then comes the next chapter of Boy Meets World in our lives, and that's the podcast, Pod Meets World. And we've got none other than Ryder Strong, Danielle Fishel, and Will Friedle, a.k.a. Sean Hunter, Topanga Lawrence, and what's his name? Eric Matthews. Jesus Christ. It's been, Eric Matthews. They're all there, the three of them, and they've been running through them. They've been running through the episodes like every single nostalgic podcast that everyone else has started creating. Oh, by the way, ADHD interlude, here it comes. For the news that anyone else who didn't necessarily need to know that this was news, the Ned's Declassified gang is back together.
What are we doing?
We've got Devin, we got Cookie, and we got Lindsay Shaw back together. They're meeting in someone's house to bring back the Ned's Declassified nostalgic podcast that we all came to know, love, and immediately hate because of Lindsay Shaw and her crying that the show never got a reboot, and Lindsay Shaw and nothing but her blowjob stories because she ran through the boys on the Ned's Declassified set. She did it again on Pretty Little Liars. She threw a fit. That's why she got fired. And Christy Carlson Romano should have never brought them back to Podco in the first place. But since shutting that whole production down, Christy Carlson Romano gets shot in the face with a pellet gun. I mean, there are wounds on her face. She's very lucky to be alive. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Christy Carlson Romano from getting shot in the face. You heard that right. She was shooting clay birds and pigeons with her husband for a birthday party retreat or something out in the cabins, out in the woods, and someone from the other crew turned her way, popped it, and shot her point blank in the face. She's alive. She's well. She's speaking. Everything's okay. You can look it up. You can see what she has to say. But at the end of the day, she shouldn't have brought back the Ned's Declassified. But guess what? They're coming back together. And it's just going to be more of Lindsay complaining, why didn't we get a reboot? Wizards of Waverly Place got a reboot and Nets can't even get a shitty Nickelodeon movie?
What are we doing?
Because no one gives a shit, Lindsay Shaw. You have to take the hint. When your comments and your aura and everything around you, if Devin and Cookie were smart, they would go. If Devin and Cookie were smart, they would start a new podcast with a new name that has nothing to do with Ned's Declassified and cut all ties with Lindsay Shaw, Nickelodeon, and the show. They need to restart with their own brand and their own identities and just get the people to interact with them, to be fans of them as people and actors in Hollywood and not this weird nostalgic, we had this show on Nickelodeon that no one really seems to care about, Ned's Declassified, other than Lindsay Shaw and the gang. So, small ADHD tangent, that podcast is coming back. Be on the lookout. I'm sure first episode's coming anytime now. So we'll be right back here next week, hopefully talking about the Lindsay Shaw reboot of the rebooted of the Reboot podcast, aka Ned's Depod Classified or something, whatever the fuck they called it. And so in walks Boy Meets World, in walks Pod Meets World. It comes with its own drama. And of course, none other than Maitland Ward is this week's guest. And for those of you who don't know who Maitland Ward is, Maitland Ward played Rachel on the show. She was the extremely tall, redheaded girl. She was there for season 6. And then I think the last season of the show ever, season 7, season 8, whatever it was, she was there until the end. And then once Boy Meets World ended, you know what I mean? These kids, these teenagers, these 20-year-olds, they have to figure out what they want to do in life. Do you stay in that atmosphere forever like Danielle and Ryder and Will have done? Or do you go off and do something else? Do you stay in Hollywood? Do you do this? Do you do that? And of course, Maitland, we all know from her plethora of TMZ interviews, went straight to the corn industry. And I don't mean that she's on a tractor on a farm husking corn all day long. I'm saying replace the C with a P and you've got it, babes. If you go to thehub.com, and you know which one I'm talking about, you type in her name and you're going to get a plethora of content and material and sides of Maitland Ward that you definitely didn't see at Friday night at 8 o'clock on the Disney Channel, but you'll get the whole other side. Okay. And so with that, Danielle Fishel and Ryder Strong and Will Fidel, they all have questions and they're all ready to know the answers to why no one from the Boy Meets World set talks to them anymore. And I can only imagine after this and wonder why. Take a listen.
To around the time, let's say 2022, when we start our podcast, Pod Meets World. Maybe a more broad, general question for you is: do you hate us?
No, I don't hate you.
Okay.
I don't hate you. I think that you hate me because you wouldn't speak to me on when we would go to Girl Meets World and everything, and that was hurtful. That was
okay. I wouldn't speak to you.
No,
I did talk to you.
No, not really. Not really. Unfriended me on Facebook.
I did not unfriend you on Facebook. I don't know. I truly don't know how that happened. And when you went public and said that you had sent me a message,
I did send you
on Facebook around the time that I got married the first time in 2013.
Yes.
You sent it to Will. You told Will, I sent Danielle this message. Yes. She didn't respond to me. I am not a Facebook person. I barely ever use Facebook.
So out the gate, Topanga's coming strong. And for the rest of this segment, I'm calling her Topanga because basically she's that bitch.
What are we doing?
And so Topanga comes out swinging. And this whole argument, this whole thing is about a Facebook message that was unread and not responded to. Maitland Ward sent Danielle Fishel, aka Topanga, a message on her personal Facebook, something that she didn't use or doesn't even know how to use or isn't a Facebook person, much like most of us nowadays. And so once she found out about this message, she tried checking it, she found it, she said, oh my gosh, Maitland did message me. Well, I'm not going to message her back now. I'm going to get her number and I'm going to figure out what's going on. And from there, it spiraled because we now have a she said, she said. And when you have two she's and a she said, she said, you get seashells by the seashore.
What are we doing?
And basically, it's along the lines of, I sent you the Facebook message and then you unfriended me, aka you must have saw the message and thought, fuck that bitch. And then Topanga on the other side of thing was, bitch, I don't even know my Facebook password. Okay, take a listen.
As a matter of fact, the only thing I do on Facebook is now that Instagram allows you to post the things you post on Instagram on Facebook, I have that toggle on. So whatever I post on Instagram goes to Facebook.
Naturally.
But otherwise, I don't even go on Facebook. So when I heard that, I said, oh my gosh, did not know that. I then went into my Facebook page, saw that we were not friends, was like, didn't remember when we were friends on Facebook or when we were no longer friends on Facebook, found your message in like the graveyard of messages.
Hey, by the way, can we get rid of Facebook?
What are we doing?
Can we just stop? Just shut it down. Meta, Zuck, shut it down. There's no good that comes from Facebook. You heard me like a year ago, probably 6, 7, 8 months ago. Delete it. Delete the app. I understand that you have to be on it for certain things. Sandy, I tried talking to Sandy can't delete her Facebook app because then she won't know when her craft shows are coming to town.
What are we doing?
And so it needs to be deleted. Zuckerberg needs to shut it down, or better yet, delete everything. Give everyone 6 days. Tell everyone that, hey, by the end of March, you have to have your shit downloaded because we're deleting everything. All the videos, all the likes, all the people, all the friends. There's going to be no archive. Click here to download your own shit right now. We're starting over. If Mark Zuckerberg deleted all of the data on Facebook and told people to start over, make a new account, then we see who succeeds. Then we see who's real, who's not, how many new signups we have, how many friends and likes you get. Because if we're being honest, nothing good comes from Facebook. You get a message from an old friend that you used to work with called Maitland Ward, and now your whole life is in shambles because she thinks you hate her, you think she hates you, you had this experience on the show, and this experience, and that experience, and the whole 9 yards is surrounded around. In 2025, can you believe it? We're still talking about the app, Facebook. I mean, can we please do something? I know we've got TikTok now and it's just the video, but like, let's just get rid of it. I want Meta in 2025 to say, hey, something went wrong. We don't know what it was. We don't have a backup, but you got to start over. We still have Facebook.com, but you got to remake your account. Everyone does. Kim Kardashian, the other kid from TikTok, all of the podcasters, the Joe Rogans, the Maitland Wards, the Topangas of the world, all have to remake it now because guess what? We accidentally hit the delete button.
What are we doing?
Please, Facebook, shut it down. I mean, if this drama and this conversation isn't proving my point, then I don't know what will, but all I'm saying is for the heart and the sake and the sanity and the stress of Topanga, shut it down.
That your messages go to. And I then felt very bad. I felt like, oh man, you did send me a really nice message. You had said, congratulations on your engagement. Congratulations on Girl Meets World. It was very sweet. And so I said to Will you please ask Maitland if I could have her phone number so that I could apologize to her? And you wrote back to Will, no, let's just save it for the podcast. It'll be great for the ratings.
Not the ratings. I think we should talk it out on the podcast.
We're gonna rock the stats.
Something to talk about.
Right?
You know,
I believe the official quote was "rock the stats."
What are we doing?
Back then, I thought the podcast was going to be like next week. Back then, it was that you guys were just going to start out. So it was. I thought it was going to happen like right away.
Right away, got it.
But honestly, no, you did not speak to me on the set of Girl Meets World, except for hi.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I have no pictures with you or anything on that set.
Okay,
like a Girl Meets World. Because you were at my wedding and everything.
Because she doesn't like you.
What are we doing?
She doesn't like you, Maitland. Because she doesn't. What part of hey, hi, gotta go, I'm working, doesn't give you the signal that like you're not best friends. What we found out years and years ago, and what we've known about Hollywood up until this very point in time, is that just because you play someone's brother and or best friend and or both of those characters at the same time doesn't mean that once the show's over or whatever the situation may be, that you're going to remain or go into real life and become adults and human beings who actually have to function in society as best friends. We saw it with Drake and Josh. We see it all the time. You think the cast of Friends Do you honestly think the cast of Friends is Friends?
What are we doing?
Yeah, sure. You know, when Rachel and Monica see each other, or Chandler, or whoever's still alive from the cast. Sorry, R.I.P. Chandler. I'm so sorry, ketamine. But like when they see each other, sure, they're friends. But like, they're not. Are they texting every day? Are they asking, hey, how was Jaden's soccer game? Whatever. No, they're professionals. They've moved on. They've got new people in their lives. And just because you came in late on the last 2 seasons of Boy Meets World, aka one of probably the most important teen coming-of-age sitcoms within television history, doesn't mean you're going to be best friends with Topanga.
What are we doing?
And I thought we were friends. And then it was just like,
Wait, what year did you get married again? I don't remember what year it was.
2006 at the end.
Okay, yeah. So I do remember when I got the invitation to your wedding, and it came out of nowhere because we hadn't really spoken since Boy Meets World had ended.
Because they're not
Boy
friends.
Meets World ended in 2000.
Yeah.
And then you get married in 2006. And I was like, oh my gosh, how nice is that I got it? And I remember talking to my mom about it. Oh my gosh, Maitland invited me to her wedding. And I thought, oh, fun. We're going to have like I'm sure it's going to be a Boy Meets World reunion because you and I hadn't spoken. So I thought if I was invited, everyone else was probably going to be invited. Nope. And then it was me and Michael, and it was great to see Michael. I hadn't seen Michael in a long time either.
And Ben's family and Dee Dee. And
yes. So there was a little Boy Meets World reunion.
I wasn't invited.
I did not know what you guys were.
That bitch.
What are we doing?
That bitch. You know, those boys were waiting. Those boys were ready. Like, bitch, we didn't get the wedding invite. Where was our invite? You friends with Topanga? Why didn't we get invited?
That time. Literally.
Oh, okay.
This was 2006. Were we on social media? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I had your email or whatever. I
Okay.
had information. Probably from Dee Dee.
Dee Dee would make sense. Yes. Because Dee Dee and I have been in touch ever since.
Yeah.
So through Dee Dee. Okay. So I just remember being really excited. It was very sweet. We took a really beautiful photo at your wedding.
Yes,
You
we
looked
did.
so gorgeous. Your wedding was
really
gorgeous. It was a really
Cordial.
beautiful day.
Yes.
And then you got married in 2006 and we never spoke again. I went to your wedding.
Right. We didn't really speak.
And we never spoke again.
But I didn't speak to them either. And I saw them on the Girl Meets World set and you guys bear hugged me and great to see you again.
We weren't working.
Yes, I was working. I was definitely working.
You had an attitude about it though, because I know there was some beef between us because I didn't get it.
Gaslighting.
And maybe I picked up the wrong
You don't,
signals.
hey, baby girl, you don't gaslight Topanga. Okay, don't go down that route because she's going to come right back at it. She's going to come right back at you with just as much heat.
But definitely there was some sort of like weirdness there.
And so what did you think it was?
I didn't know at all. I didn't know. I didn't know if you thought that I was trying to like come onto the set and like take over or something, like not take over, but like try to steal attention or something. And like, but I didn't know. I really was very genuinely confused why we wouldn't be good.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel as though I was not good with you, but I definitely didn't have a relationship with you that was like, oh my gosh, my long lost friend Maitland.
But
I was working. It was a very, very difficult set. That in those 3 years were, the memories, let's put it this way.
Yep.
The memories
Preach.
we have of the fun set of Boy Meets World were not the memories or the fun set of Girl Meets World.
Wow.
It just wasn't.
Wow.
And I went into it hoping it was going to be. I went into it expecting it to be, and it wasn't. It was a rather tumultuous place. It was a
What are we doing? What are we doing?
We love the word tumultuous on this podcast. Roll the clip anytime now. I've decided. I just made it up. Brand new 2025, new year, new me. As soon as I'm not going to use it, that's part of the game. The new game is I'm not allowed to use the word tumultuous, but every single time someone else does, whether it be a guest or a clip or Topanga, we're going to immediately stop what we're doing and we're going to cut to the clip. All right, ready? Here, wait, let's back up one more second. Let's go back like 3 seconds. Ready?
And it wasn't. It was a rather tumultuous
Are you here?
I've had a tumultuous 3 years that has led to
place. It was a place I felt very ostracized. I felt very criticized.
Yep.
I felt a lot of different things being on that set.
Rightfully
was
so,
not-
by the way.
That was not the set of Danielle being carefree and running around shaking hands and kissing babies. So I am sorry that you thought I had something personally against you.
Listen, I mean, you didn't like the fact that I was getting a lot of attention at that time and going off in my own space and taking away like that attention.
I was on the cover of Maxim in 2014.
Yes!
What are we doing?
Yes! My bitch! Topanga!
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I was on the cover of Maxim, bitch. She said, this bitch, Maitland Ward, tried to come at our girl, Topanga. And she literally shot back with, bitch, I'm Topanga, okay? It's
What are we
Topanga, dude, okay? And for you, Maitland Ward, to have the delusion in your head that you think that while she was on the set of Girl Meets World, that she didn't speak to you because she was directly jealous of the attention you were getting as a corn star, that bitch Topanga!
What are we doing?
Bro, don't fuck with Topanga. I was on the cover of Maxim, sweetheart. Pull the pictures up. Put the pictures of our girl Topanga. You can't. You're not effing with Topanga. Hey, she's too good for that. You'll never find Topanga on a video. You never find Topanga with an OnlyFans. And you certainly won't ever find Topanga spilling her guts to TMZ just to get 10% more on your account this week.
What are we doing?
Okay, Topanga is not only an adjective now, a verb, a person, she is the alpha omega. It's Topanga.
What are we doing?
And you're out here like, listen, I can't help that you were just jealous about all the attention I was getting for putting my pussy on the internet. And she snaps back and says, bitch, I was on Maxim.
Applaud you for that.
But I wasn't in any way
I mean, bro, she was on
being
Maxim.
Carefree and running around shaking hands and kissing babies. So I am sorry that you thought I had something personally against you.
Listen, I mean, you didn't like the fact that I was getting a lot of attention at that time and going off in my own space.
Get her.
And taking away like, that attention.
Go.
I was on the cover of Maxim.
What are we doing?
I applaud you for that.
But I wasn't in any way upset. I didn't think you were. It was two totally different spaces.
I didn't know why you were upset. That's what I mean. I didn't know why you were. That's only what I get.
But you just told me right now why I was upset. You were saying before you didn't know why I was upset, for sure.
No, I
but
never.
Just now, you just said you
that's
were.
What I thought. Maybe
that's what you guessed then.
Back then
is what you're saying.
Yes. Back then I was thinking maybe that's it. Maybe she's back then. Not like I'm like
got it. I thought you were saying that now that's what it was, and I was like, okay,
no,
I'm
totally
understand that was what you right.
Is she mad at that? Is she
got it? And that absolutely. In every experience we have had on this show where people have finally talked about things that have never been talked about in the 20 or 30 years since they've happened, or 10 or 20 years since they've happened, when it then comes up, every single time there's a reveal, which is like, oh, you know what? I made this a personal thing. I thought it was about this. And we go, oh, and here's what was going on for you and different. And both journeys in that.
So
shortly thereafter.
Or Michael.
Like you guys have.
So, I mean, that basically at the end of the day, Topanga put this bitch in her place. Okay, Maitland Ward, she then continues on to say Topanga calls her out one more time. She calls her out because every time the podcast has a viral moment, somehow, some way, TMZ catches up with Maitland Ward, and she not only has something to say about the podcast and the Boy Meets World set and the whole crew, but she also just then takes that opportunity to boost her own personal brand. And so naturally, after this whole thing went viral, what do you think Maitland Ward did?
What are we doing?
She ran straight to TMZ, and now she's got a whole breakdown of the argument on a TMZ clip. And so the only other interesting thing that we really got from this viral moment was the fact that Will, who played Eric Matthews in the show, basically kind of also just reconfirmed what we already have known. We knew about 10 plus years ago. Ben Savage, aka Corey, aka the main character of Boy Meets World, he decided a long time ago that he was not only going to distance himself from that show, but B, I'm pretty sure start some form of political career. So with Ben taking on that new kind of, I don't know what he was trying to be, mayor or governor or some whatever, I don't know. But he got it in his head that he wanted to get into coffee. He got it into his head that he wanted to get into politics. So naturally, what do? You can't have anyone looking at your past. You can't have anyone thinking that you're associated with these negative entities. And so boom, hard, cut off, shot, done, dead. The relationship he had with the Boy Meets World cast no longer exists. He built a wall and no one is to get through it. And we now know and confirmed from Will how that happened and how quick it was, because just like my father did, I mean, hey, are you sentence about it here? Do you understand the connection now that I have with Boy Meets World? It goes beyond the show, because just like Ben Savage did to all of his friends and family from Boy Meets World, and presumably everyone else in his life from that point on, he woke up one day and decided that he no longer wanted to be in their lives, with no explanation, no message, no text, no phone call, no nothing. You're cut off. No more Ben Savage for you. No more father for me. I'm out. That's it. We're done. That's it. It was his decision, and that's what it was. He says it right here.
Do not hate either of them.
Here we go.
Not hate. Hate is a strong word. I not mean hate, but like to have disagreement, I guess.
Ben is one of the most important people I've ever met in my life, and I can't stand the fact that he won't speak to us.
I feel exactly the same way.
He's been holding that in.
He won't speak to us.
Correct.
I can show you the last 3 years, literally, of messages, and in the middle of a conversation with Ben,
I wish
he
that
just
everybody
bailed on me.
And wish that everybody
No, Ben absolutely one day woke up and said, I don't want Will in my life, and never told me why.
Well, I don't know the history of any of that. So
No, I know
and I
you
don't
don't.
hate Michael
Which,
either.
again, is my question. Do you listen to our podcast? Because you did then
They tear
go
us
on one of
apart.
the TMZ
They tear us apart. They spent an hour with her just reflecting on the episode, being friendly, being like, let's talk about Boy Meets World. And then once they were done with that episode, it was the floodgates opened, and Topanga's coming with the, hey, you hate us? Why? Hey, what's going on? Hey, why do you talk to TMZ about us? Hey, you invited me to your wedding, but then we didn't talk for 10 years and you have a problem with me? Like, bitch, I was on the cover of Maxim.
What are we doing?